The aftermath of a massive fire in Oklahoma City, an opportunity to get vaccinated on campus, and a candlelight vigil tonight in the wake of Atlanta shootings. This is OU Nightly.
Hello, thanks for joining us for OU Nightly. I'm Will Blessing.
And I'm Mckenzie Gladney.
A large warehouse fire erupted yesterday in Oklahoma City that wasn't put out until just a couple of hours ago. OU Nightly's Sydney Baulier was on the scene and joins us for an update.
Thanks, Will. I arrived at the scene in OKC right when firefighters were putting out the last few flames. I was able to see the damage that this fire did. I am in Oklahoma City, just off the intersection of Northwest 4th Street and Francis Avenue, where last night a warehouse fire erupted around 6 p.m. If you can see behind me, there's total debris and damage. Both sides of the road are closed off. I'm actually not supposed to cross this yellow line right here because OKC firefighters are actually on the back side of the building, still putting out some ongoing flames. They said that the water pressure could cause an exterior wall to collapse and injure somebody. OKC firefighters were leaving. They were still on call just in case a collapsed wall or any flames erupted. Conveniently, the OKC Fire Department is located directly across the street. Investigators have still not determined a cause for the fire, but are still looking into it. A woman was rescued from inside the building just after the fire broke out. She was found sticking her head out the window trying to breathe and was taken to the hospital in an unknown condition. Besides that, there were no other injuries reported. The warehouse is used by local theater companies to store props and furniture for productions. One of those theater companies actually has a show planned in 2 weeks. Now that all their props are destroyed, they're starting a GoFundMe in an attempt to raise money. As more details about the fire emerge, we will keep you updated right here on OU Nightly. Back to you.
Now, more opportunities are opening up right here on campus for OU students, faculty, and staff to get the COVID-19 vaccine. The OU Armory has been hosting blood drives this week, and come Friday, the facility will be transformed into a mass vaccine clinic. The one-dose Johnson & Johnson vaccine will be administered at no cost.
Because I tried multiple times to get my vaccination appointment scheduled and they were always booked up. So I'm finally going this Friday because OU decided to offer that clinic. So it's just really nice to know that the university is working to make sure all the students are able to get their vaccines.
OU Health Services hopes to vaccinate 4,000 people, and you can register through your OU email.
The Oklahoma State Department of Health reports over 500 new cases of COVID-19 today. This brings the total number of active cases of the virus in the state to nearly 11,000, and almost 8,000 people in Oklahoma have died so far from COVID-19. This comes as the state plans to move to phase 4 of COVID-19 vaccinations next Monday, which would allow any Oklahoma resident to receive the vaccine.
Now, Will, today looks like a significantly grayer day than it was yesterday.
Yeah, we had some really great sun yesterday, but haven't really seen the sun much today at all. You know, Jack Maney, he's here with a first look at our forecast. Now, I don't know, I could maybe see some rain coming our way, but Jack, do you know if we've got any rain coming our way?
Well, I hope he says no, because I'm thinking I love the rain. It's better to cuddle in the rain. I'll get better sleep. But Jack, what do you got for us?
That's right, guys. We've been looking at some pretty interesting cloud formations across campus all day today. You can see these mammatus clouds that we saw this morning. This picture comes to us courtesy of our good friend, Mr. Nash Rhodes. These clouds are formed by a little bit of sinking air, little pockets of sinking air on the underside of high-level clouds in the atmosphere, and usually they're associated with thunderstorms. These here were not actually associated with thunderstorms this morning, but they could be coming into tonight. We're seeing a wave of rain starting to build out of southern Oklahoma. Showers and thunderstorms are on the increase, and we're going to see another much larger wave of rain and thunderstorms coming in tonight. Storm chances are on the increase, and there's going to be a pretty significant threat of severe weather in the deep south tomorrow, and we'll have details all about that and our weekend forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
Thank you, Jack. Now, the suspect in the Colorado grocery store shooting that killed 10 is scheduled to appear in court Thursday morning. The hearing is meant to advise Ahmad Alissa of the charges he's facing, his rights, and his next court date. The statement also says it will be the 21-year-old's first court appearance in what will likely be a lengthy court process. Alissa faces 10 counts of murder and attempted murder stemming from the shooting Monday at the King Soopers grocery store northwest of Denver. The massacre was the country's second mass shooting in a week after another gunman killed and shot people at 3 Atlanta area day spas.
And an increase in migration at the southern border has led to a new command on immigration efforts. Katie Arata has that story and the rest of today's headlines from around the world. Katie?
Vice President Kamala Harris is leading the White House's immigration efforts. This comes as the U.S. is dealing with a migrant surge at the southern border. President Joe Biden made the announcement Wednesday, saying Harris is, quote, the most qualified person to do it. Harris says she'll be working with numerous countries, including Mexico. She also repeated the Biden administration's message that migrants should not travel to the U.S. now and says the nation needs to address the main problems with migration while enforcing the law. A New York community is mourning a volunteer firefighter who died in the line of duty. Jared Lloyd's body was found Tuesday evening, almost 24 hours after a fire began at an assisted living facility. Fire officials say he was on the 3rd floor when he sent out a Mayday call. Lloyd's fellow firefighters rushed to help, but they had to retreat because the walls and roof started to collapse.
This was a tragic loss for not only the department, the fire service in general, emergency services, and a county resident. You know, we have not experienced a loss like this in quite some time, and it's going to hit hard. It's going to take a long time to heal.
All 112 seniors made it out of the building. One resident later died at the hospital. The cause of the fire is still under investigation. And in Belgium, Prime Minister Alexander De Croo announced that non-essential shops and hairdressers will close as of Saturday, March 27th until April 24th. The Prime Minister said that the British variant had now become dominant in the country, and Belgium is in a new phase of the pandemic, with infections doubling with the last 2 weeks. He also warned that border patrols would be heightened during the upcoming Easter holidays. And in other news, the jury selection is complete in the high-profile murder trial of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin. And Will Mckenzie, it took just about 2 weeks to pick the jury. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Katie. Now, coming up, a vigil is being held in OKC in the wake of the Atlanta shooting. Find out where and what OU students are saying about it.
Plus, you may be ready to hit that beach this summer, but the CDC says there's some things you may need to know before that vacation. More on that after the break.
Welcome back to OU Nightly. A candlelit vigil will be held tonight in OKC in honor of the Asian American and Pacific Islander communities. Members from OKC's Black Lives Matter chapter and Oklahoma City Mayor David Holt will speak at the vigil. The community hopes to bring awareness to stop hate Asian American and Pacific Islanders, as well as honor the victims who died in the Atlanta shootings. OU Asian American Student Association encourages students to continue to be allies and support events like this.
I think that this vigil is really significant just because it signifies unity and solidarity in the Asian community. So we're able to stand up all over the country, and it's not just an OKC thing. We're all able to stand in unity with each other during hard times like this. And it's especially important because there's a very large Asian presence in Oklahoma City, and in Norman.
The vigil starts at 6:30 in Military Park in the heart of Oklahoma City's Asian District.
The COVID-19 stimulus package includes funds to help American schools. Grace Whitten joins us with more information about what our schools should expect. Grace?
Mckenzie, President Joe Biden announced plans and funds available for school reopenings in a meeting today. The funds will come from the $1.9 trillion stimulus package, which includes over $100 billion for American and Puerto Rican preschools through high schools. The Biden administration says that about $81 billion will be made available immediately. The Department of Health and Human Services has also announced an investment of $10 billion to help schools screen students and staff for COVID-19. And about that COVID relief package, stimulus checks are still being sent out, and research by 3 universities say that without consecutive relief packages, poverty rates would have been much worse. The U.S. poverty rate has dropped by 0.4% from last November to this February. And experts say to expect poverty rates to drop again, at least temporarily, now that the next round of checks are being sent out. The next batch will be sent out this week and will continue on a weekly basis. More than a year into the pandemic and a couple months until summer, many people are eager to travel again. So here's what you need to know before you spend your money on those summer vacations. The Cruise Lines International Association is currently asking the CDC and the president to lift the no-sail order by early July. Royal Caribbean is continuing with a June cruise, but adult passengers have to be vaccinated. And airlines are also attempting to return to normal, with Southwest ending their pandemic policy, this week, returning to traditional boarding procedures. So Mckenzie, if you are thinking about making those summer plans, make sure to research COVID restrictions by city, company, and even industry to make sure you're comfortable before you spend your money. Back to you.
Thanks, Grace. Now, it's no secret that pay disparities still exist between men and women.
After the break, we'll tell you how far the fight to end the gender wage gap has come.
And Jack, what do we have to expect from all these clouds?
That's right, Will. Clouds are on the increase, and so are rain chances. We'll let you know who's going to see rain tonight and how much coming up next. Welcome back to OU Nightly. You can see over downtown Oklahoma City, the clouds are starting to get lower and grayer, and we're going to see that for the rest of the day as showers and thunderstorms start to move in. Right now we're at 56 degrees, clouds are starting to build in, and we've got brisk north winds at 14 miles per hour out of the north-northeast. Across the state, we've got 50s in central Oklahoma, but look at this temperature contrast. We got 75 in Idabel, going all the way down to 37 in Guymon. That big temperature contrast across the state, that's the precursor for the storm system that we're going to see tonight, and those higher temperatures towards the south and east are going to act as fuel for thunderstorms that are going to build in through the overnight hours tonight. For our live radar, we're looking at a little bit of shower and thunderstorm activity starting to increase as it comes up from the south. Lawton, Norman, Oklahoma City, up towards Tulsa, there are some light showers starting to build in. We're going to see a much larger wave of rain come in to accompany this as we go towards the overnight hours, and that's all courtesy of this guy right here, this low pressure center out towards the west, centered over Arizona and New Mexico, is going to continue sliding east through the next couple of days, and that's going to create our rain chances for tonight and a very significant threat of severe weather across the southeastern United States, especially going into tomorrow. Future radar, you can see those showers and thunderstorms start to build across the state, and then the big wave starts to come in across the southeastern portions of the state. Idabel, you guys are going to be seeing some pretty rowdy thunderstorms coming in here tonight. Then another wave builds in through into the morning hours tomorrow, and then we're going to start to clear out by tomorrow afternoon. Who's going to see the most rain? Looks like the thunderstorms across the southeastern portions of Oklahoma are going to be the big winners, basically from Ardmore up to Tulsa, Miami. Those are going to be the big winners, with also a little bit of a higher chance out in the Panhandle from some ongoing light rain that's been going on out there for the last few hours. You can see our future rainfall. Look at this big swath of precipitation. We've got about 200s, 400s. Could see anywhere from about a quarter to a half inch of rain here in central Oklahoma, with higher amounts towards the southeast with 0.74 in Idabel. Look, of course, this rain, we're starting to go into spring, so we're going to be dealing with chances of severe weather going into the next couple of days. Right now, it looks like the biggest threat for tomorrow is going to be across the southeastern United States. That moderate risk is in effect. This could actually turn into a high risk by the time that the Storm Prediction Center updates this tonight. So it's going to be a very dangerous day across the southeastern United States tomorrow. If you have any family, friends, anyone out that way, you might want to make sure that you give them a call. Just make sure that they are weather aware, that they know that this thing is coming, because this could be another situation like we had last week with the high risk that we had across the southeastern United States. Not a good kind of graphic that you want to see. Well, around here, though, we're going to be dealing with a little bit more peaceful weather. We've got rain in the morning for tomorrow, and then we'll start to clear out with a little bit warmer temperatures going into this weekend. We've got 70s across the board, and then it's going to be a little bit more of a rain chance coming in on Monday. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you, Jack. Today is Equal Pay Day, a day which symbolizes how far the fight to end the gender wage gap has come. According to the National Women's Law Center, women working full-time year-round earn 82 cents for every dollar men make. While the country has come a long way to recognize these inequalities, some still think that there's a lot of work to do.
In the United States, it looks like it could take up to 150 years from now for us to hit pay equity. What? That's ridiculous. So yeah, not so much a day to celebrate, in my opinion.
Financial experts say some women lose on average more than $400,000 to the wage gap in their lifetimes.
Now it feels like every week there's another Sooner sport absolutely dominating.
And this week, it's coming from the pitcher's mound. Amaya, what's coming up?
OU baseball is red hot. They are in a 6-game winning streak after sweeping Houston. The Sooners begin a 4-game road trip with a blast from the past. Stick around because sports is next. Welcome back to OU Nightly. Let's spring into sports. OU football head coach Lincoln Riley confirmed that he has not released former quarterback Chandler Morris, who transferred to TCU in January. Morris had hoped to gain immediate eligibility to play this fall for the Horned Frogs, but Coach Riley has his own views on interconference transfers and doesn't want Morris eligible in 2021.
Myself, the leadership here at OU, we think it's unhealthy for college football to encourage intra-conference transfers. Now, that doesn't mean that we're against people being able to transfer to other institutions, any other institution we want. I think that rule obviously has been changed. I think it was a good rule to change, and now players could have the ability and freedom, as they should, to be able to go to any school they want. But I do think the interconference can complicate things.
OU baseball continues to ride high on a 6-game winning streak as they travel to face the Texas State Bobcats tonight. Last time the Sooners saw the Cats resulted in an 8-3 OU loss back in 2017. The Crimson and Cream Bats are hot this week, with this being the first of 5 straight road games. The first pitch is at 6 p.m. We've been watching teams hustle through March Madness, but there's one team who's hustling to keep the madness at ease. Workers at the University of Indiana's Health Pathology Lab are putting in the extra work processing COVID-19 tests of players and staff members. The lab is currently running about 2,100 tests a day, and that number continues to stagger. Dr. Michelle Sasan is in the bulk of it all.
There is some pressure because there's a sense of we have to deliver this so that we can keep this tournament safe. But I think in the end, we know that if we do this well, we can keep this tournament safe.
Results for each test is ready in 8 hours or less, with the help of over 850 volunteers administrating, transporting, and gathering tests for the lab. Luckily, there's been no positive tests other than VCU and a few officials. Upsets aren't just in March Madness. Today, the opening round of the World Golf Championships Dell Technologies match play kicked off. On the 13th hole, good old Jordan Spieth delivered a dime in the courtesy of the cart path and in the path of Patrick Cantlay on the 15th hole. Antoine Rosner made his first PGA Tour debut, 2-up over 2020 U.S. champ Bryson DeChambeau. There will be 32 matches in each of these next 3 days of pool play. The player with the best record on Friday advancing to knockout play. The Memphis Grizzlies are heading over to OKC tonight to take on the Thunder. Less than 2 weeks ago, the Thunder took down the Grizzlies 128-122 at home. The Grizzlies have won 3 of their past 4 games, defeating hot teams like the Heat and the Celtics. OKC is hoping to keep up their momentum with a 3rd straight win. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander will be out missed tonight due to a right foot injury. There is no word on his return. Tip-off is at 7. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Amaya. The animal that was once on the brink of extinction.
It's now quadrupled in the last decade. More on that after the break. Weather's cut.
I'm Michael Martin at the OU Nightly Update Desk. Facebook says they have evidence of Chinese hacking through fake Facebook accounts. The hackers targeted Uyghur activists, their families, and journalists through fake accounts and links that included malware containing surveillance and tracking tech. There's speculation that the hacking was sponsored by the Chinese government, but Facebook would only confirm that the hacker accounts were well-resourced and mostly located in China.
Now, a conservation success story, the American bald eagle population has more than quadrupled in the last 10 years. Scientists from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Migratory Bird Program estimate the population climbed to more than 316,000, with more than 71,000 nesting pairs.
Just a decade ago, there were only 72,000 individual bald eagles, and they're no longer considered an endangered species, but they're still protected under federal laws.
Now, thank you for watching OU Nightly, brought to you from the corner of Lindsay and Asp.
Good night.